All hell broke loose at Harvard. This is from Fox, a Fox News article about a professor who went against the narrative at Harvard and all hell broke loose. It's kind of a half funny and half tragic, but it's really interesting. I'd love to hear what my audience thinks about this because this is about the fascinating race relation. We can't talk about this stuff enough. Right? Welcome to Doug in Exile. I'm Doug TenNapel. This is where all the happy patriots are. One thing we do not let liberals do, they can take your money. They're trying to take your freedom. They're going to try and take your children away from you, but they can't take my smile and my happiness. I choose that. Harvard professor says all hell broke loose when his study found no racial bias in police shootings. Oh, this professor, Roland Fryer, said he lived under police protection during the fallout of the study. What kind of brainiac professor gets into this kind of trouble? He has to live under police protection. He's so in fear for his life just for reporting the truth. The truth is radical. Who can't have it? I know what y'all are thinking. This is a Harvard professor, right? Let's read this. A Harvard professor said that, quote, all hell broke loose, and he was forced to go out in public with armed security after he published a study that found no evidence of racial bias in police shootings. He needed an armed guard. I know what y'all are thinking. He's a Harvard professor. He's some hunky. Here's a picture of him. This is like one of the smartest guys at Harvard, one of the smartest researchers there is. Happens to be black, which I think is awesome. You know what your reward is for making it at Harvard as a black man and doing your research and reporting the truth? You got to walk around with police security in fear of your life. Welcome, everybody. During a sit-down conversation with Barry Weiss at the Free Press, Harvard economics professor Roland Fryer discussed the fallout from a 2016 study he published on racial bias in Houston policing. The study found that police were more than twice as likely to manhandle, beat, or use some other kind of non-fatal force against blacks and Hispanics than against people of other races. However, the data also determined officers were 23% less likely to shoot at blacks and 8.5% less likely to shoot at Hispanics than they were to shoot at whites. So they may be more likely to manhandle you, which probably has to do with resisting arrest, by the way, but they're less likely to shoot you than whites. So my people, you all, if you're not white like me, you all get your privilege of not being shot at like my people. I got a target on me. That's why I'm wearing my loud coat, so I don't look like, some game that you can easily shoot. To the police out there, I'm merely white. I'm not a criminal. My hands are up. Hands up. Fryer received the first of many complaints and threats 4 minutes after the publication. Quote, "You're full of shit," the sender said. Fryer said people quickly, quote, "lost their minds," and some of his colleagues refused to believe the results after months of asking him not to print the data. Quote, "I had colleagues take me on the side and say, quote, don't publish this. You'll ruin your career," Fryer revealed. The world-renowned economist knew from comments by faculty that he was likely to garner backlash. Fryer admitted that he anticipated the results of the study would be different and would confirm suspicions of racial bias against minorities. When the results found no racial bias, Fryer hired 8 new assistants and redid the study, and the data came back the same. It's been twice produced. After the report was published, Fryer lived under police protection for over a month. Quote, "I was going to the grocery store to get diapers with the armed guard. It was crazy. It was really, truly crazy." Fryer, who became the youngest tenured black professor at Harvard at age 30, was suspended for 2 years from the university in 2019 after he allegedly engaged in, quote, unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature. He continues to deny the allegations. So they came after him and accused him of the bad stuff. At the time, then Harvard Dean Claudine Gay, that's the star of our thumbnail here, because this chick is wicked. She claimed Fryer's research and conduct with other employees, quote, exhibited a pattern of behavior, unquote, that failed to meet the expectations within the community. That's from Claudine Gay, who's been charged with 50 counts of plagiarism in her own work. faking her doctoral work. Okay. The totality of these behaviors is clear violation of institutional norms and betrayal of the trust, she said. Gay resigned from her position as Harvard president in early January after widespread plagiarism allegations and criticism of her testimony to Congress, where she failed to fully clarify whether calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard's policies against bullying and harassment. Weiss, referencing Gay in her conversation with Fryer, asked him if he believes in karma. Quote, "I hear it's a mother effer," he replied. And that's the good news. The man got a little karma on her. By the way, Claudine Gay, she targeted male blacks that were ahead of her and accused them of sexual allegations to get them all fired, clear the way for her, though she was a plagiarist. This is exactly like the pattern that Fannie Willis did out in Fulton County. Went after the males above her, accused them of sexual misconduct, then goes in and she's a bigger grifter than they are. This is what happens when you stop looking at merit, what you earn, what you do, what your character and your values are, instead of the color of your skin, my friends. This has been Doug in Exile.